Tell us about your new project.
Yeah, the big one on my plate right now is I have my first creator-owned ongoing series at Top Cow Image, and it's called Infinite Dark. It's a sci-fi horror series with artist Andrea Mutti. He's done a bunch of stuff for Dark Horse, Vertigo, DC, and a couple other books at Top Cow and stuff. K. Michael Russell's coloring it; he's amazing, and Alex Liu is helping out with story editing. It's my elevator pitch is like the universe ended. We found a way to survive, and what is it like living in a non-reality? What is all that's left is this like ghost town space station. There's only 2,000 people left in all of existence, and a murder happens.
Okay.
And I'm being really bad at it because it's really hard because it's horror. Like, I don't want to spoil anything.
Yeah.
But there are.
Is it like a murder mystery type thing?
It is not really a murder mystery. It is a. There is an outside. Oh man, how do I not spoil this? I'm so bad at pitching my own book. Basically, you've got all these people there, and it's like a powder keg of like survivor's guilt and horror and like just trying to survive and wait for what comes next. And when someone gets murdered, it's sort of like the reason for this murder is something from beyond.
Okay. Very mysterious.
Yeah, I mean if I do it right, it will read like Alien, and obviously there's elements of Event Horizon and a lot of the classic sci-fi horror stuff.
So it's like a space story where they're like in space because the universe is literally ending.
Yeah, so I didn't want to get too big into the nitty-gritty science because I butcher it really poorly. But do you know the entropy, like the heat death of the universe?
No, explain it to me.
So like Morrison plays with it in Final Crisis, but like basically all chemical reactions and physical interactions tend towards entropy.
Okay.
And basically like billions of years from now, there won't be any more matter or energy left in the universe. There'll be what's called heat death, and
Okay.
the universe will end like slowly and peter off. And so the premise for Infinite Dark is that this happens much. This is like the setup is that this happens much sooner than we thought. Maybe
Okay.
like 20,000 years from now.
Okay.
And so humanity builds this vessel called the Orpheus to survive that. And it works. They build this station that can exist in
Outside
it's
of
not space, like it's non-reality. And it builds, it's got a field it can project and it can exist. But they build it and they underestimate the speed at which entropy is occurring, and they can't get colonists onto the station. So they've got this massive station designed for tens of thousands of people.
But only a few
And there's
people.
only like 2,000 on it, like staff. And so these people whose whole job it was to get more people on board are the only people left. And it's them contending with that guilt and that fear.
Of like, we thought we had it, but we didn't.
Yeah. And also, of course, the fact that there's something outside making them do stuff.
Ooh. Scary.
Oh my gosh, I'm trying to be too vague. It's so bad, yeah.
No, so like, where did the idea come from? Like, walk me through how the book like came to be.
I mean, heat death scares the shit out of me. I can curse on this thing, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
You're good.
So like I don't remember when I learned about heat death, probably in like high school physics or something like that. But I've always been like, that's nightmarish because the thing that I like the idea is that humanity could survive, right? Like barring. There's a billion disasters that could end us as a species, but this idea that we could survive past our planet, past our solar system forever, but then there's this fundamental aspect of the universe that we couldn't survive, and that keeps me up at night. And I was like, well, what if we found a way to survive that? Which is like ultimately the slightly hopeful, like optimistic kernel at the core of this dreary, terrifying series I'm trying to write is that survival is a virtue and
Yep.
when we can escape anything, except of course the thing that's lurking out in the void at the end of the universe.
Well, it's true. I mean, it's it's a mindset, it's really fascinating because sometimes you live on in different ways past yourself. You think we only have a certain amount of lifespan, but if you write a book, that's you living on past
Yes,
your term. If you have kids, that's you living on past your lifetime, and there's a lot that's not exactly science, but it's weird stuff that we can't explain. That's kind of us procreating, us continuing to move on, and always finding a way to survive.
We're all just trying to escape death, futilely, helplessly, escaping death.
That's it.
But no, I mean, I ultimately, like, that makes it sound so bleak, and I do want it to be kind of a bleak story, but I'm trying to tell ultimately like a horror story with a hopeful core. I hope, through the characters, especially the main character. Her name is Deva. She's like the security director for the station, and I really want, through her, is like this examination of survivor's guilt, and also like survival as a virtue of the human struggle to subsist and exist and move on.
So how did this book come to be? Like, who did you talk to make it happen? Like,
Sorry.
what was the pitch? Like, what was?
Well, no. So I sort of, I'd been talking to Andrea for a while about doing something together, and I'd sent him a couple pitches, and they just hadn't quite meshed. And I've had this like half kernel, and then one day, I spent 2017 living in New York City.
Yeah, I remember.
And it was a really, really rough time for me. I fell into like a pretty bleak depression, and a lot of stuff went bad, and so I was just like, probably just being dumb and emo one night, listening to stupid emo music, and I was just like reflecting on stuff, and I kind of had heat death as an element in an earlier story that I had to scrap completely, but I was kind of clinging to this idea of this setting for a horror story, and I just sort of plugged in this, like, just started plugging in characters and ideas, and sort of formed this really rough pitch, and I sent it to Andrea, and it was like, I'd sent him maybe like 3 or 4 pitches, and they just hadn't clicked. And I sent it to him, and right away, he was just like super enthusiastic. We just clicked on it.
Nice, and he was like, "All right, let's go."
No, and that was last, it was like last June, and like he had like sketches ready. He sent them to me for SDCC, and I showed them to Top Cow. I mean, I'm pretty close to people there, so we'd already talked about it, but they were already kind of into it, and so we've just been kind of slowly getting it going in the background since then.
Nice. And how many issues is it going to be? What's the plan with it?
So it's 4-issue arcs.
Okay.
Right now we have it slated for ongoing. It's all going to depend on how feasibly long we can produce it.
Yeah, of course.
I originally conceived it as a miniseries. It's just like 4 issues. But right now I have another 2 arcs planned. So
okay.
It could go on. It could go on
20
as long as people buy it.
That's it.
So.
As long as people are into it and going out there and supporting the book, that's what it's all about.
Exactly.